What up, brothers? What's up? It's the director. Good evening and salutations, Chargers fans. We got a good one for you guys today, revolving around our Chargers defense. First off, huge shout out to Charger Swap for this jersey swap of our Jack boys out there, man. That secondary, woohoo, looks absolutely lethal. And what a jersey swap, having all of those players swapped in one photo. Very, very nice work. Well, in this video, guys, Chargers defense. This is super exciting. I'm going to go over why I think the Chargers may have the most lethal and complete defense in the entire NFL. You guys really think about it, okay? We could have, once again, a top 5 defense, top 3 defense, even in the conversation for the best defense in the NFL. And there's a couple of teams that I like to compare them to as far as how much they've changed this offseason and what they could be like in the 2020 season. One being the 49ers. You noticed this past offseason or 2 off seasons ago that they picked up just a few key pieces, including Nick Bosa. And those pieces were able to gel everything together and create a defense that made a Super Bowl championship run. Now, obviously, ultimately, they lost, but they made it. And it was because of a couple of different adds to their defense, the completion of their defense on all 3 levels, which is something I'm also going to talk about in this video. Having studs at all 3 levels of your defense is what could generate success, playing that side of the ball. Before we get started in this video, guys, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this content. The small amount of time you guys take, hit the like, sub, bell notification helps us out a lot. We're on the road to 16,000 subs. Who says there's only a few Chargers fans out in the world? Our sub count already says the otherwise. So let's take a look at this Chargers defense, guys. Now, the other team, other than the 49ers, that I like to compare them to are definitely the Seattle Seahawks during the Legion of Boom era. Okay, and you guys understand the Legion of Boom era is one of the best defenses we've ever seen, and they did a lot of things similar to what the Chargers did this past offseason. Not to mention that the Chargers really have kind of, I wouldn't say mimic, but they've been inspired by the Seattle Seahawks defense in the past couple of years, specifically in diamond nickel packages. Very, very, very similar to what the Seahawks were running during their Super Bowl run, championship run. Okay, and you take a look at the defense on the Seattle Seahawks back in the Legion of Boom era. They really did have those several layers of dominance at every single level of their defense. Okay, Bam Bam Cam, Richard Sherman. I think they had Frank Clark. Really, really complete defense. Of course, Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor. Like, just such a complete defense. And it was one of the most exciting defenses I think I had ever seen in my time watching football. I think also the Niners back, in the pre-2000s was pretty good too. But that is definitely what catches my eye about what the Chargers have done this offseason. So what does the Chargers defense look like right now? Let's take a look at the defensive line first, okay? Melvin Ingram coming off the right side. And again, obviously this is flipped, so you're looking at it from the offense's perspective. So Melvin Ingram on the left of the screen is a right end, okay? Melvin Ingram, what he brings to the table, a lot of experience, especially with how young this roster is. You guys take a look at this defense, very, very young team. Melvin Ingram, a perfect mentor for players like that. On top of that, he still has a lot of game left in him. Some people worried that maybe we don't re-sign him next year. I'm kind of on that boat as well. I'm worried about it. I hope we do. I hope we do re-sign him. But he still plays an elite level. And the combination of what we have on the other side of the offensive line, Joey Bosa, is very important to Melvin Ingram's success as well. And Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram, honestly, if you're a defensive or an offensive coordinator, you're worrying about these two every single game, no matter what. And even though there's so many other pieces on the Chargers defense, I think the cornerstone of this defense really relies on Bosa and Ingram, okay? Now, taking a look at the interior, we'll just go left to right, okay? We got ourselves Linval Joseph. Now, Linval Joseph, the first step, in my opinion, to making this defense extremely hard to score on. Okay, you take a look at the Chargers a couple of years ago. For the past few seasons, the way you attacked the Chargers was on the ground. Our defensive tackles, down the middle was very, very exposed, very weak. And it made it really easy for teams to scheme up against and say, you know what, we're just going to run the ball down their throat. You guys remember us versus the Patriots in that playoff game. Really, it was all about Sony Michel. So the guy with the man with the plan that decided to come figure that problem out with was Linval Joseph. Literally one of the best run-stopping defensive tackles in the league. Happened to be a free agent this past season. Boom, now he's on the Chargers. I think Linval Joseph, low-key, might be one of the most important offseason acquisitions for the Chargers this year. Like, really, when you take a look at how exposed we were at the middle of the field, probably, the one of the only things that people could utilize on us game in and game out was running the ball. We addressed that with Linval Joseph, and he's one of the best in the league to do it. So honestly, guys, I think Linval Joseph may end up being one of the most important offseason acquisitions that we had this season. All right, now taking a look at Jerry Tillery on the line as well. Tillery, he didn't get a lot of time to play last year, so I would say to Chargers fans, don't write him off quite yet, but yes, he still has work to do. So with that in mind, he will grow, but we need to give him some time. And lastly, Joey Bosa. Obviously one of the best defensive ends in the entirety of the NFL. A lot of us, when he was drafted, were hoping to get Jalen Ramsey. He came out and absolutely proved everybody wrong, and I absolutely think that he's going to get paid this offseason, okay? He's going to stay with the Chargers and continue to be that cornerstone piece of the defense, which really, honestly, you take a look at what Nick Bosa did for the 49ers, that really is what Joey Bosa is to us, guys. We have to make sure that we maintain him on our team. So additionally with this, guys, I like to put a rating system on every level of the defense. So our first level of the defense being our defensive line, I gave Melvin Ingram, a gold star. That's just kind of, a visual reference to help you guys out a little bit. Taking a look at Melvin Ingram, he definitely is one of those star-studded players in the NFL. Linval Joseph, very fringe star for me. He definitely struggles a little bit in pass rushing, but he's so dominant in run stuffing that I had to give him at least, a silver star, but very, very fringe gold star for me. Jerry Tillery, we still don't know much about him yet, so that's kind of a wait-and-see thing, and then obviously Joey Bosa being one of the best in the league to do it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move down the defensive line a little bit. We'll put the ratings back on there. So Joey Bosa's going to be covered behind me, but just know that he's there. That is level 1. So I'm going to put a line right here. That's the first level of our defense. The second level of our defense, being our linebackers, has drastically improved over the last couple of seasons. Let's start up here with the linebackers with Drew Tranquill. Now, Drew Tranquill, what was he, like a 4th or 5th round pick last year? Absolute steal. I think the reason that he fell is because maybe he was a little bit older, not as much time to develop, but my God, did he absolutely come out and wow a ton of people with his play last year. And I think, honestly, he was such a huge steal for the Chargers that he's a full-time starter at this point, in my opinion. You can put him out there with confidence. He's going to do his job. Personally, you can see him in the middle of the field. You can see him, maybe Sam or Will linebacker as well, but really, he's just kind of that guy. He's really good in coverage, and I'm really, really confident in what we have in Drew Tranquill. Next up in the middle, let's go over here to the linebackers. We got Denzel Perryman. Now, Perryman, funny enough, is a very, very good player that not a lot of people know about because he's always injured. And that's the biggest thing that we have to worry about with the Chargers defense this year is maintaining health. So we have to all cross our fingers a little bit there for the health of the team. But Denzel Perryman, people don't understand how good he is because they don't get to see him play that often. He's very, very good against the run. Maybe not, dominant, maybe not the most elite, but he's very, very good. So what we ask him to do on this defense, he can do very well. And Denzel Perryman is definitely not somebody that you can overlook if you're an offensive coordinator, okay? Then lastly, on the right side here, new acquisition through the draft, Kenneth Murray. Kenneth Murray, in my opinion, is a year 1 stud, a year 1 star. He's definitely going to start on this team, in my opinion. You can see here in the projections that I have him out here at left outside linebacker. And I think that because he's definitely, we got Denzel Perryman there in the middle. We could definitely put Drew Tranquill out there and right. But I think on the left side, he definitely fits there. He's going to get a ton of tackles. And again, I like to think of him as maybe, another Darius Leonard in the league. He's a tackling machine. Very, very, very good against the run. His awareness in those situations, if you take a look at some of his highlights, there's a couple that I pointed out were like counter runs, okay? The line swings one way, the running back goes the other way. Kenneth Murray was the only person that, sniffed that out. And he did such a good job at it, maintaining, not very many yards on the ground for running backs against Kenneth Murray. And that's something we really, really needed. So our linebackers complementing our pass rush, it's a 4-3 scheme. We rely on Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram to get to the quarterback. And then we rely on Denzel Perryman and Kenneth Murray to stop the run. It seems very complete to me, okay? So here are my ratings on our linebackers. Definitely star-studded as far as silver stars on Denzel Perryman and Drew Tranquill. Okay, I think they're very, very good. And I think, honestly, if I were to betting man, I think Drew Tranquill in the next couple of years could definitely become, a gold star studded linebacker in the NFL. And then, honestly, me personally, Kenneth Murray is definitely year 1, in my opinion. If I'm a betting man, he's going to be a star in the NFL. All right, guys, let's move on. So that was our level 2. So level 1, defensive line. Level 2, our linebackers. Let's go to level 3, which is probably the most impressive on the entire team, our defensive backs. Okay, and if you guys know, I think the Chargers are about to see, again, I'm talking about the Legion of Boom. We can also compare them to the no-fly zone in Denver for a couple of years where their defensive backs were just so good nobody could pass on them. I think the Chargers are in a similar situation this year with the defensive backcourt that we've assembled. It's absolutely insane to me. Starting on the left side. Actually, we'll go over here to this side at first. Okay, we got Casey Hayward. Okay, Casey Hayward, one of the most underrated defensive backs in the entire league. Dependable, reliable, consistent. That's exactly the kind of defensive back you want on your team. He may not have that, star factor to him like maybe a Jalen Ramsey, with his personality and stuff, but Casey Hayward is one of the most reliable defensive backs in the league. Okay, next to him, I do have Nasir Adderley in there. And I think Nasir Adderley, honestly, we don't know what we have in him yet. He was projected first round last season, got hurt, didn't play last season. I think we need to make sure Nasir is back there getting snaps. I think he needs to play this year. I think there's so much potential in him. Honestly, he could have been the biggest steal of last year's draft and we wouldn't even know it. So I think Nas needs to be back there for certain. Next up, possibly one of the best defensive players in the entire NFL, Derwin James. Definitely, a hybrid player. You can put him at linebacker, put him on the edge, put him anywhere. He's our Isaiah Simmons. A lot of people say, oh, we should have gotten Isaiah Simmons. We have Isaiah Simmons in Derwin James. Definitely one of the pieces that offensive coordinators fear the most on this defense is Derwin James because he's so versatile. You can put him anywhere. Obvious stud right there. Next up, offseason acquisition, Chris Harris Jr., now with the Chargers. One of the most consistent defensive backs of the last decade, and he hasn't slowed down, dudes. Chris Harris Jr. on the Chargers? Are you kidding me? That is absolutely lethal. We already had a good defensive back group. You add a guy like Chris Harris Jr., Christ. Watch out, dudes. And then Desmond King on the right side. Had a down year last year. I get it, Desmond King. But he's still a stud, dudes. Now, there is talk that he might be moving to free safety. There is talk that, Chris Harris Jr. may be our slot cornerback. That's where I think, Desmond King is the best. But Desmond can play the outside. He can play over top. You know what I mean? He could have a resurgence next year. I think our defensive coordinator is very good at utilizing players' skills and their skills on certain positions on the field. He puts them in the right place to succeed. Okay? That's our level 3 of the Chargers defense. Here is my rating for every player. Casey Hayward, gold star. Nasir Adderley, bronze, but we don't know what we have in him yet. He could easily be a silver or gold, and we just don't know. Derwin James, 5 gold stars if I could. Chris Harris Jr. has had a gold star since, 2005. Maybe not that long ago, but still, very, very long time he's been such a dominant player. And then Desmond King, he would be a gold, but he had a down year last year. I don't define that, I don't use that to define him at all, but he could definitely be a gold star again once this year. If you take a look, the reason I put this diagram together, all right, the first level, we've got 2 stars. Okay, we got 2, I would say, like superstars in Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram. We got, another silver in Linval Joseph, who could easily be at gold. And then we got Jerry Tillery, who's still developing. On the second layer, right here, the second level, we've got Drew Tranquill, Denzel Perryman, and Kenneth Murray. Another star at this level, in my opinion. And again, either one of these guys could easily become a star, too, just depending on their play next year. And then finally, on the defensive backs, we've got 3 huge studs back there. Casey Hayward, Derwin James, Chris Harris Jr., and then 2 very good players, outside of those guys, Nasir Adderley and Desmond King. This defense is going to be so difficult to score on. Okay, I put out a video a while back about my score projection, my win-loss projection, and admittedly, I put that together a little bit too fast. Okay, because I put other teams scoring too much on us. Nah, not with this defense. There's going to be another version of that video coming out very soon. It's a long off-season. There's going to be a couple of versions of that video, okay? The next one's definitely going to be putting into account the star power we have at every level of our defense. So my question to you guys in this video, how would you rank the Chargers defense this upcoming season? And what I'm saying is, like, maybe you could say top 5, top 10, top 3, number 1. I know a lot of people are going to say number 1, but realistically, and if you guys say number 1, I'm not going to blame you, because really, you look at this defense, I wouldn't want to scheme against that if I'm an offensive coordinator in the NFL. Absolute stud power at every single level is going to be so important, and that's why I bring up the Legion of Boom. That is what they use to get to the Super Bowl. That is what they use to win the Super Bowl, and I think the Chargers have assembled something very similar to the Legion of Boom with the Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl win. And if it didn't, it's something very, very, very similar. And I think, guys, people are sleeping on the Chargers defense, and they shouldn't be. Because this defense is going to rock the league next year. Well, if you guys like this video, hit us up with a like and sub. Show your support. Really, really appreciate your guys' support. Very excited to see what the Chargers defense looks like next year. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time. Bolt up and stay frosty.